Namaste and welcome to Yoga for Sportsperson. The meaning of yoga is to combine, to make union of. And that is why yoga for a sportsperson is very important. We know that a sportsperson world and a so-called normal world is quite different. A sportsperson world is based on discipline and hunger, and the usual normal world is based on making money and survival. That's why it becomes even more important that a sportsperson knows how to merge with the normal world. The reasons for this is many. We as a community grow together, and every sportsperson is supported by family, by community, and the collective consciousness. So it becomes paramount and very important for a sportsperson to not only live its life with fulfillment, but also to include community as a whole towards their own success. Discussions, speeches, lectures can only do so much. It is only when you do your own practice, when you're in your sadhana, and when you are focused on your self-development that we can achieve or enhance our performance. We know as a sportsperson the importance of family, of a sponsor, of friends, and a community in supporting us towards our goals. Yoga has the tools, it has the philosophies, it has the practices that can help us as sportspersons achieve our optimum along with uplifting our society and community. Yoga is a way of living. It is designed to train us to maximize our performance. As I take you through the first most important part of yoga, which is yamas and niyams. These are the foundations for all yogic thought. And what are niyams? Yams means restraints. Niyamas means observations. The yams and niyams help us to move into a more authentic self. They both guide us towards our internal discipline and our attitude or the way we behave in society. This was all shared with us in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The yams and the niyamas are the first two parts towards the eighth path limb of yoga as described by Patanjali in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. The yamas and the niyamas relate directly to how we relate to the outward and the inward world. By incorporating the yams and niyams into our everyday life can have a profound effect on the way we behave, the way we perform, and the way we relate. You may find that by simply focusing on one, the others will start falling into place. Rather than trying to incorporate all the yams and niyams at one time, try and focus on one whereby the others will fall into place. So let's have a look, or let's have a read, or let's try and understand the yamas and the niyamas. So the yamas, as described by Patanjali Yoga Sutras, are moral restraints which focus on our behavior towards outward beings. This is how important our behavior towards the outside is. And this forms the foundation or the base of union or yoga. So what are the yamas? Ahimsa, which means non-violence. Satya, truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing, freedom from stealing. Brahmacharya, moderation. And aparigraha, non-hoarding, freedom from grasping. Allow me to take you through each of these yamas. Ahimsa, which means non-violence, starts by being non-violent to yourself. Not over-pushing while you're training, not overburdening your digestive system by overeating foods that you believe might work for you. Patanjali Yoga Sutra says that when you are established in ahimsa, you will be able to move towards your goals with gentleness and kindness. The next is Satya, truthfulness. Before we speak, we ask ourselves whether it's true, whether it's kind, whether it's necessary. Satya includes right speech and truthful communication, as well as skillful listening. For example, when approached with a piece of gossip, try and detach from the gossip, because that is not going to help you in your journey. Secondly, saying one thing and doing another. Being truthful also doesn't mean being as blunt. You can say the truth in a very skillful and polite manner. Asteya, non-stealing, freedom from stealing. Do not take what does not belong to you. For example, if you want to follow a certain sport and one of your mentors is one of the best sportspersons in that sport, understand the systems, but don't become him or don't become her. Understand that system and find what works for you. Asteya also means balance between give and take. Remember, yoga is about balance. It's about union. Brahmacharya, which actually means moderation. The yogic path discourages overindulgence in many things, including food and sex. Obsession with these things will lose you or will motivate you to lose your touch with your focus and your journey. So moderation or brahmacharya is very important towards your journey as an elite sportsperson or recreational sportsperson. In traditional yoga, brahmacharya refers to sexual moderation. Remember, again, it's about balance, both towards the other and towards yourself. It also means being faithful to your partner. And we know to be faithful to your partner, you be faithful to yourself. Don't be too hard. Everything in moderation, in balance, in union, including moderation. Aparigraha, non-hoarding, freedom from grasping. Very important for us to develop our sensitivity towards what we need. Don't be possessed by the possessions. If there is lust for the next great thing, you will always move towards suffering and the feeling of separation. If there is something you want, take the necessary steps to make it happen. Let go of the attachment to the outcome. As an athlete, as a sports person, motivation towards the competition, the medal, is the motivation. But the focus is the process, not the outcome. Let's look at niyamas, or 5 observances, which applies specifically to how you conduct yourself on a more personal level. The 5 niyamas are Saucha, which is cleanliness, Santosha, which is contentment, Tapas, which is self-discipline, Swadhyaya, which is self-study, and Ishwarya Pranadhana, which is self-surrender. So let's look at Saucha, which is cleanliness. Cleanliness and purity can be practiced on a number of levels. A clean environment, having a clean space that you live in, cleaning the clutter and practicing good feng shui, good hygiene, good diet, good appearance, a clean mind. Consider the amount of over-information you're putting into your body and your brain and the mind. Be careful of the content you go through, the magazines you read, the television shows you choose to watch or hear, the kind of people you surround yourself with. It's important you understand that setting clear boundaries is a very important part of this aspect. Let's look at Santosha, which is contentment. Look to yourself and your own innate goodness for happiness. This is the only place where you will truly find your happiness. Santosha always means, or also means, being present. Appreciate and accept the reality of what is. Do you really need things to be different, to be happy? Or can you just choose to be happy, create the frequency of happiness, and move forward with that? Making gratitude a daily practice is a very good way of practicing Santosha. You can keep a gratitude journal, count your blessings, remind yourself often of why you're thankful and why you are grateful. Tapas, self-discipline. Transform yourself in the fire of positive change. There is discomfort that comes with breaking the habitual thoughts and behavioral patterns. But these are important to create positivity in your life. And I'm sure you have experienced this when you've tried to break a bad habit in your life. You also recognize that discomfort is sometimes the necessary step towards the change that you're working towards. It also means getting to your practice on days that you feel like just sitting at home and not doing anything. Sometimes it might also mean extending your practice. It might also mean extending your rest period, whatever it means for your self-discipline or your tapas to come towards fruitfulness. Swadhyaya, self-study. Be aware of your actions as they happen. Reflect on them later. Use your reflections to make positive changes to your actions in the future. Taking time to reflect on your daily process, your daily systems, maybe journaling in the evening before going to bed, journaling in the morning when you wake up, and also remember study of yoga texts, because the philosophy of yoga has a direct impact on the way we think and the way we act. Ishvara Pranidhan, surrender, Give your life force energy to something higher than yourself. This is devotion and surrender from the small self to the higher self. We practice this niyam every time we want to up our game. For example, if you're performing in front of a crowd, that crowd is your guest. The guest is like God. So you surrender yourself to make them happy so they may take that happiness to their community. Here, having faith to connect with the higher self becomes very important towards our success as a sports person or as a recreational person, simply living life to achieve the best out of our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual beings. Now, as we move on from the yams and niyamas towards demonstrating to you a very, very important technique that will help you with your core activation. Now remember, we have three important core muscles. Your toilet muscles or your pelvic floor muscles, which are at the bottom. The transverse abdominis muscles, which are circulating around your tummy, which helps you keep it flat. And the diaphragm muscle, which connects into your rib cage. There is one technique that activates all three, not only for yoga practitioners, but for elite sports persons. I will break this technique down at the workshop on the 5th and 6th of June. But for today's session, I'm just going to demonstrate to you the technique of Uddiyana. And for this technique, I will be removing my shirt so you can have a good look at the anatomy and understand the technique of suction. Now, for the practice of Uddiyana, the important thing is the breathing. So let me take you through the demonstration and then I will verbally take you through the technique. Now in this technique, you breathe in, then you breathe out all the way. So you squeeze your lungs. Rest your hands on your knees. And now do a mock breath. A mock breath is simply keeping your mouth shut, closing your nostrils, and trying to breathe in without opening your mouth or releasing your nostrils. The moment you do a mock breath, the suction of the abdomen happens and it massages your diaphragm. So let's try that again. You can join me. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hands on your knees, leaning forward. And now mock breath. If you need to use your fingers on your nose, go for it. If not, release and breathe in. When you practice Uddiyana, remember to practice within your limitations. If you have blood pressure issues, do it with caution or go and speak to a yoga instructor before you practice this technique. But understanding that you're a sports person, more than likely you should be able to do this technique. You can also do this technique standing up. Breathe in, breathe out. Mock breath. So that's how you practice Uddiyana standing. Remember, the important part is getting the weight of your hands on your knees. The reason for this is once you get the weight on your knees, your abdomen muscles relax, which will give you the ability of doing the suction. The hidden benefits of doing Uddiyana is also improving your lung capacity. I hope what I have shared with you is something you can apply in your everyday life. Whether you are a sports person, whether you're a family member of a sports person, or just a friend of a sports person. So I leave you today with this curtain raiser, and I hope you can join me on the 5th and 6th of June for the workshop where we will go into details and break up the 8 limbs of yoga, including breaking up the asanas specifically to help you improve your core, your balance, your recovery, and the neuromuscular coordination. Thank you and namaste. Have a great day. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.